What?
Okay, so
Are we
apparently
still?
we're having some technical difficulties here.
Am
Um,
I still muted?
no, you're muted. I can hear you. We're having some technical difficulties here. We're without Joey, I see. Um, so it's ACC
Basketball.
championship week. Um, do what?
I was just messing with you. I said, well, this is
Uh,
a perfect opportunity to talk about basketball since Joey
yeah.
doesn't like basketball.
Don't let's not like the fact that I have no idea where we're live at. So whoever's listening, thank you. Um, we have not only do we have a huge basketball game against not only do we have a huge football game against the number one team in the country, our basketball team is playing the the essential number one team in the country this week as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. I think Bama can go into Seattle and beat Gonzaga this weekend.
I mean, I
Okay.
haven't.
Wait, hang on.
God.
We got Tony Barnhart coming on from CBS, and you talking about some damn basketball. But go ahead, finish.
We're getting it out of the way.
Get it out of hurry up. You got a minute.
I've already. Hey,
10 seconds.
I just said I think we're going to go into Gonzaga. I think we're going to get the win. I think we're going to beat the number one team in the country on Saturday night. Now let's talk some football.
Thank you. About damn time. Over here talking about some damn basketball during football season. What the hell's wrong with you? Let's talk about hockey.
Let's not.
Joe, Will, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm ready for, some Alabama football this weekend. Last weekend, man, was an emotional roller coaster. So I'm hoping this week is a little bit better for us. But I mean, you never really know. Georgia fans have been talking some mad crap on Twitter, but we'll see what happens come game time.
Right now, we are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook right now. I'm not sure if we're live on Twitter or not. That was the big hold up.
That's all right.
Our technical advisor is going to come on and put us on Twitter if he can. If not, we'll just load the live feed to the Twitter account. We're not going to do it like we did last week. That's kind of hold up when we got a bunch of people using the same account. So that's something we got to deal with. But anyway, Tony Barnhart is going to be on the show. We're going to talk about Alabama football because we are three out. Well, Joe, Will, and I are two big Alabama football fans. And, of course, we got Clacker. And so let's recap. We hosted 3rd and 3. We talked about Iron Bowl. Let's go ahead and do it here. Iron Bowl. It was a close game. I knew it was going to be a close game. People said it was Auburn was they gave Auburn 19 to 20 points. When it comes to the Iron Bowl, it's always a close game. Sometimes you get that blowout, but when it comes to Auburn and Alabama, it's always going to come close. What do you think, Joe?
I agree. I mean, I kind of fell into that trap. I saw the 19.5 points, and I was like, well, it's Vegas. Most of the time they're right. But Alabama this year actually has been pretty bad at covering the spread in games that actually matter. I mean, obviously against New Mexico State and all these cupcake teams, they're going to cover the spread. But they didn't cover against LSU. I don't think they covered it against Arkansas. They sure as hell didn't cover it against Auburn. But like you said, this is a rivalry game. You can kind of throw these ones out the window. I mean, they're going to be close. We got the monkey off our back. In Jordan-Hare, we finally won there, which we haven't done since, I don't even know. So, hopefully this team, after coming together and having a comeback win, will play a little bit more freely, a little bit more loosely. And this week they'll have some things dialed up for that stingy Georgia defense.
So Mr. Clacker was shaking his head. Go ahead and bring out the negativity, Clacker.
I think the fact that you said that the Iron Bowl is always close. The Iron Bowl's not always close. I don't get where you get that logic from because
I've been watching the Iron Bowl for a very long time.
2020, 42-13 Alabama.
That was one game.
52-21 Alabama.
That was 2 games.
30-12. All those are blowouts.
Right. That was 3 games you named. How many years have Alabama and Auburn played each other?
Well,
Should be
actually,
14,
no.
50.
Here, I want to correct you. I'm talking about games also that are being played in Jordan-Hare. How close are those games to be played
You
in
didn't
there?
specify that. You didn't specify that. This is also
I
the
just
worst.
mean they're closer usually than 19.5 points.
This is also the worst Auburn team since 2012.
Shut up! Shut up with your dumb ass bullshit crap. That is the stupidest comment in the history.
6.
They're 11-1. What's the record, Joe? Joe, what's the record? Is it 11-1 or 12-1? What's the record right now?
Are you talking about Auburn or Alabama?
Joe, I'm talking to Joe. Joe, what's the record right now?
We're 11-1, I think. I'm terrible at math. I'm pretty sure that's how many games we played.
How many games have we lost this season? One game. One freaking game.
This is the
worst team. Somebody on Facebook told me this is the worst team he's seen in 45 years. My ass.
This is the worst.
My ass has seen. Seriously.
Worst Auburn team since 2012, and we barely came away with a win. Tell me that's good.
We was playing Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Okay.
Auburn's going to give us their best game.
Point? What is your point? Georgia came in and beat about 30 points.
You asked me what's my how you want to ask me a question and not let me answer? You said, what's my point?
Okay.
Let him answer.
Let's hear it.
We was playing in Jordan-Hare Stadium against our biggest rival. Auburn always brings their A game when it comes to Alabama. It's just what it is. I may not like Auburn. Joe Will doesn't like Auburn. I think you like Auburn. I think you secretly have a romantic fantasy about Auburn.
Is that an Auburn polo?
Do you like have like a tire in your bed and color up next to it because it sure hell ain't a woman? The point of the matter is this.
Finish making your point.
The point of the matter, I just told you, Auburn's going to bring the best game. Now, yes, we've seen blowouts. I've seen Auburn blow out Alabama. I've seen Alabama blow out Auburn. But when it comes right down to it, you're going to get the best game out of both teams. If it's a blowout, that's because that team still gave it the best game. It's Auburn, Alabama. It's the elbow clacker. This is not the worst team in the last 40 years.
That's not what I said. That is not what I said.
Somebody said that to me on Facebook. Nice guy, but he's not correct. You saying this is the worst team since 2000? Since 2012, you said? No, it has not been a bad team since 2012. The standard is so. Stop, clacker. Look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute you, clacker. The standard is so high. Joe Will made a very good point. The standard is so high right now. Thank you, Nick Saban, for setting the standard so high for everybody. Okay? The standard is so high. For the fact that you're going to sit there and tell me 11-1 team is bad? 11-1 team. Now, and they're going to the SEC championship game. And you're going to sit there and tell me that these freshmen and sophomores are bad? Bad part about all this is when Alabama does beat Georgia, which I am pulling for Alabama because I'm a fan of Alabama, you'll be the one, yay, and I knew it. I knew Alabama was going to win. Oh, back to the winning waffle chocolate factory, yay! No, I'm going to be right here and say, no, you put your fucking Georgia shirt on and you go out there and cry with the Georgia fans because that's what you're acting like right now. And I want you to go out there and go hug a tree, go to Toomer's Corner, hug a tree, go to Harvey Updike's little freaking tombstone and get and pee on it, whatever you want to do because you're an Auburn fan. I'm just lost for words right now with you, clacker. Are you an Alabama fan? Yes or no? Yes or no? Just answer the question. Yes or no?
You just talk, so I'm gonna talk.
Let him talk.
He's talking.
He's muted.
I know.
Joey. Go on, Clark.
Do what?
Go ahead.
Keep
I'm
going.
listening.
You said, oh, both teams are going to win their A game. Do you really think Saturday was Alabama's A game? Do you really think that was a good? Do you think, yes or no, that Alabama played a good game on Saturday?
I don't think the offensive line played a good game.
Do what?
I don't think the offensive line played a good game.
Okay, but you cannot sit here and tell me that that was a good performance by Alabama. I don't care where the hell
No,
we
I
played
said
it. I don't
what
let
I
me
said.
finish.
That's a
I
good
let you
performance
finish. Let
by
me finish.
Georgia. It was a
I
good.
don't care where
I
the
mean,
hell we
not a
played it.
good. I'm
That
sorry.
performance was
Hold on.
unacceptable.
That's a good performance by Auburn. It was a
I
good
don't give a.
performance by
I
Auburn.
don't care where we played it. That performance was unacceptable.
Well, you call
It was
Nick.
also a weird game, though. I mean,
Hold on, Joe. Joe, hold on. You can get your point in. Hold on. Then Clacker, what I want you to do is call Nick Saban and tell him that it was unacceptable and you need to try harder. Okay, Joe, go ahead.
He's the head coach. I think he damn well knows.
I just want to say that was just also a very odd game, typical of Jordan Hare. I mean, we had 10 penalties for like 160 yards or something. There were blatantly obvious pass interference calls on Auburn where Jameson Williams was basically just getting mugged and they weren't called at all. And also the fact that we didn't have Jameson Williams for a good portion of that game. And he just got, 12,000 yards and 13 touchdowns for us this year. It's just a weird game, man. Yes, Alabama didn't play well, but I think the biggest thing to take away, like I would just throw out, aside from the obvious things, offensive line, Bill O'Brien play calling, running the ball inside zone on third. The fact that Bryce Young drove us down the field on the road in the Iron Bowl, went 97 yards to win the game, and just had ice water in his veins, that makes me feel really good about the game on Saturday, because we're talking about all these issues we have as a team, but as long as we have Bryce Young, who will likely win the Heisman, I think it's, pretty much set in stone, knock on wood. As long as we have Bryce Young out there slinging the football, just cool as ice, I'm not worried about this game. And also the fact that him and Ja'Cory Brooks are starting to get chemistry, that's huge. Ja'Cory Brooks could be a guy in this game that's a difference maker. And it all starts with, catching the game tying touchdown last week on the road.
I agree with what you say about Ja'Cory Brooks. I agree with that. But you also got to remember, comparing this Auburn and Georgia defense is a hell of a lot better than Auburn's defense. But yes, I agree. As long as we have Bryce Young, we've got a great chance to win this game. I agree with that.
I think that Auburn might have a better secondary than Georgia. I'm not saying Auburn's defense is better than Georgia's, but I think that Auburn has a decent secondary. Obviously, player, Georgia's got a better squad on the defensive side of the ball. But Auburn, despite having not a great record, they're a decent team. So, people look at it and they're like, "What? Auburn's 6-4." They're like, "Oh, you barely beat a 6-4 Auburn team." Well, it's much more than that. Like we keep talking about, the Iron Bowl is always super competitive.
All right, before we go any further, if you're watching, you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and press a like. I still have to feed my kids. Joe has kids all over the country. He wants to meet them. The only way he can meet them is if you start paying them. And Clacker is a kid. He wants to move out of his mom's basement. So please hit the subscribe button, press the like, comment. Right now it's open forum. Y'all can comment, ask questions. It's Georgia fans, you out there, talk to Clacker. He wants to talk to you. He wants to tailgate with you this Saturday.
Give you a nice big smooch.
That's right. If you're on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. Help us out. We're new to the game. And that's it. And like us on Facebook. Anything you want to say, Clacker?
I think this weekend's game is going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun game, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I think this is the weekend we'll learn the real Alabama team. I think we'll learn what we really are Saturday.
It's always been that too. So there's all this back and forth banter is all just kind of bullshit because, like I keep reiterating, it'll play itself out. It'll work itself out one way or another. If Alabama flops on Saturday, then we'll be like, okay, everybody was right. And if they don't, then the people were wrong, and this is a damn good team, which I think will be the case.
Well, on that note, let's introduce the man, the myth, the legend from CBS Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Barnhart. Mr. Barnhart, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, guys.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. First off, this is truly an honor on my behalf. I've always wanted to meet you. I've been watching you on television for a very long time. So we're going to let Clacker go ahead and start the forum. Clacker,
So,
go ahead, man.
SEC championship this weekend. Like, what are your opening thoughts? And is Bama being too underrated in this game?
Well, I think, guys, it really comes – it's not a real complicated game. It really comes down to a couple of things. And really the main thing it comes down to is whether or not Alabama's offensive line, which has had its problems this year, Alabama's inability to run the ball when they want to run it, how are they going to stack up? Can they run the ball a little bit and take some of the pressure off the quarterback? And when the quarterback does want to throw, are they going to give him enough time so he's not being harassed all night long? I think those are really the keys. That Alabama is good enough to beat Georgia. Alabama has the elements to beat Georgia, but they're going to have to play a really solid game with no mistakes.
Who do you see as potential X factor for Alabama that could make a difference in the game besides, Bryce Young, who would be the obvious answer?
Yeah, what concerns me is Brian Robinson being out. If he can't go, I think that is big. I think Will Allen is going to be a very important part of this game. What has to happen for Alabama to win the game is Georgia's got to make some mistakes. Alabama's got to force them into turnovers, and Bryce Young's got to make big plays out of the passing game. You're not going to drive the ball 80 yards on Georgia, 80 yards in 12 plays. That's not going to happen. What you have to do is be able to run it well enough so that when you go to the play action pass, Bryce Young has some time and you make big plays in the passing game. To me, that's the ticket for Alabama. That is their roadmap to winning.
Well, we got one of the biggest debates right now, Mr. Barnhart. You've been watching college football for a very long time. You've been covering it for a long time. And one of the debates right now is, a lot of people think that this Alabama team cannot hold up against Georgia. And a lot of people think this is probably one of the worst Alabama teams in the last 12 years. What's your opinion?
Well, listen, is this a vintage Alabama team like 2020? Or 2011 and teams like that? No, they're not. They've got too many weaknesses, particularly along the offensive line. But I told somebody this the other day. I said Alabama's not a national championship team, but they can win the national championship because they are capable of beating Georgia. So all I would say about that is this is not a vintage Nick Saban team, but I think, in my opinion, Nick Saban's done one of his very best coaching jobs to get Alabama into this position.
Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the internet sensation, the one and only Stingray. Stingray, come on in here and talk to Tony.
Mr. Barnhart, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Stephen, I'm just fine. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so, obviously Coach Saban and Kirby have gone back and forth. Is this the best opportunity that they've had to knock off Alabama, in your opinion?
Sure it is, because Georgia's extremely talented, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Their front seven, all seven of those guys are going to get drafted somewhere.
Yes.
That's how good they are. Secondary, they're good, not great, which is why I said earlier that Alabama's ticket is to exploit the part of the Georgia defense that's the most vulnerable, and that's the secondary. It's absolutely Kirby Smart's best chance. Now, Kirby Smart had a chance in 2017 in the national championship game. That one slipped away. Had a chance in the 2018 SEC championship game. That one slipped away. Mm-hmm. But Georgia's a very, very talented team. But it really comes down to, do you make the plays at the end of the game, particularly in the fourth quarter? And Alabama, the reason Alabama is a championship program is because they make the plays Now Georgia's got to make the plays to win the game.
Yes. Well, I've got one other question for you. Looking at Georgia's overall record this year and what they've done, are you surprised at how dominant and just stifling that defense has been for the Georgia Bulldogs, holding a lot of their opponents to 0 points this year?
Well, we knew the defense was going to be very, very good. We knew that coming in, but to have this kind of dominance for the entire year, they're giving up 6.9 points per game. 6 points. Think about that. The two best defenses I've ever seen personally were 2011 Alabama, where they had a ton of draft choices on that. Gave up about 8.5 point games. Miami 2001 gave up about 9.6 points per game. Those are the two best defenses I personally have ever seen. And this Georgia defense has a chance to be rated with those. Let's see what happens on Saturday. But Georgia has that kind of talent.
So if Alabama comes in and wins this game, do you think Georgia still deserves a playoff berth, or does Oklahoma State win convincingly and steal that fourth spot, knocking Georgia out?
No, if Alabama beats Georgia, both of those teams will get into the SEC, get into the playoffs. Georgia's been number one and a dominant number one since the first rankings came out, and I do not see any kind of scenario where Georgia drops from 1 to 5 or 6 or something like that. Nope, I think they'll both be in.
So I know Georgia wide receiver George Pickens had a bad ACL tear, and he's kind of starting to get healthy a little bit. What do you see him making a difference in this game? How many minutes do you think he'll play? I know he played a little bit last week in their win against Georgia Tech.
Right. Well, if George Pickens can go full speed. He's a dynamic. He's something that Georgia hasn't had all year. Georgia has good wide receivers, but not a dynamic guy like a Jameson Williams or somebody like that. George Pickens is that kind of receiver. So if he can play, he played a little bit last week. You have no way of knowing how much he can play, but he is a legitimate deep threat, which is something Georgia has not had this year.
Do you feel like, going back to another player that Georgia has played some this year, do you think that Kirby Smart possibly has a package that we could see from JT Daniels in this game?
If he has, he certainly hasn't let it out. But you have to have JT Daniels ready to go. We have seen what the impact of a backup quarterback has had in this series between Georgia and Alabama. It is not unusual for the guy to come off the bench. But having said all that, I think Stetson Bennett has done everything that Georgia could possibly ask a quarterback to do, and he has some elements to his game that JT Daniels does not have. And that's the escapability, the ability to move the chains, to get the first down with his legs. That's not what JT does. JT has a great deal of arm talent, throws an incredible deep ball. So I don't see JT Daniels playing in this game unless Stetson Bennett struggles.
Okay. Do you see, if Alabama loses, is there still a path to the playoff if Alabama loses a close game?
I don't think so. I thought early on, about midway through the playoff rankings and all that might be a possibility. But what would have to happen, guys, for Alabama to get in as a 2-loss team, what has to happen is Oklahoma State would have to lose. Cincinnati would have to lose. And then it would come down to a bunch of 2-loss teams. And Alabama, you can make the argument, is clearly the best of all those 2-loss teams. And so I just don't see a path for Alabama if they lose.
I want to get your opinion, since we're talking about the college football playoffs. What's your opinion on expanding the playoffs? Do you think 4 is the perfect amount, or do you think there needs to be more teams potentially involved?
We've absolutely got to go to 12 games. There's no doubt in my mind. It would be best for college football as a whole. It would be best for the fans. The fact that we've got teams like Cincinnati and Oklahoma State in the conversation, I think that's good for college football. It's going to happen. The question is when.
Yes.
And based on the news we've gotten this week out of the meetings, it may be 2025 before it ever happens. But it is going to happen, and it needs to happen.
Sorry about that. My mic was muted. First of all, I just want to say how much of an honor it is to have you on the show. I mean, just the opportunity to talk with you is humbling. I mean, I actually got goosebumps. So I got two questions, and then and I'm lost for words here, y'all. Heisman. Who you got for Heisman this year?
Oh, I think Bryce Young. Here's what has to happen. First of all, the Heisman the voters were watching when Alabama drove the ball 97 yards in about a minute to get the game into overtime. In the past, because Bryce Young can make all the throws. He is well beyond his years in arm talent and ability to extend plays with his feet and to throw the ball on a dime. So I think if he has a good game against Georgia, Georgia doesn't even Alabama doesn't even have to win. I think if Bryce Young plays well, he wins the Heisman Trophy because the guy who we would challenge him, C.J. Conrad at Ohio State, is not playing Saturday. I think that's a big – so I think if Bryce Young has a really good game against that generational defense from Georgia, I think he sews up the Heisman Trophy.
Well, with that said, I'm Alabama fan, so I'm going for Alabama, and I'm pulling for Alabama, and I'm picking Alabama to win. But a lot of people not seeing that, so I will ask you this: who you got to win, and what's your final score?
Well, my pick was not released until tomorrow when I put it on my website, tmgcollegesports.com, and I will release that first thing tomorrow morning. So I can't tell you who I'm leaning towards, but I do think the game is going to be a lot closer than the experts think. I don't see it as a 6.5, 7-point football game. I see it as a field goal game.
You know what? And I don't either. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by this young team because, the captains on Alabama are what freshmen and sophomores, pretty much. I think people are going to be shocked how good this Alabama team is because it's like Nick Saban said, every team wants to beat Alabama, and every team is going to give Alabama the best game. Mm-hmm. And we saw that at Jordan-Hare Stadium this past week. But I think it's going to be a very close game. I think Alabama can pour it through. And during my prediction at the beginning of the season, I said Alabama's going to the national championship game. And we're 3 games away. 3 games away from me being one of the greatest Nostradamus future tellers of all time, ladies and gentlemen. Stingray, got some more questions for Mr. Barnhart?
I don't. I do. Mr. Tony, we really want to thank you for joining us, and going ahead real quick and tell everybody where they can follow you on social media, and going ahead and feel free to plug anything that you would like to since you were nice enough to join us tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. On Twitter at Mr. CFB, and we have a lot of fun there. Our website is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella. It's si.com/colleges/TMG, which stands for the Media Guides. My business partners and I, we're all newspaper guys, and we put this website together about 4 years ago, and we have had a blast. So everything that all of us write are on that website, si.com/colleges/TMG.
All right. Well, Mr. Barnhart, are you going to the game on Saturday?
I will be there. I've got a couple of duties tomorrow for the SEC Network.
Yes.
And I look forward to being there tomorrow and then being there on the game Saturday.
Well, we really want to thank you for your time. And real quick, be safe, have fun in Atlanta. And as always, from all of us here at the CTS, we hope that you and your family have a very Merry Christmas.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Sir. Thank
you, Mr. Barnhart. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I have goosebumps. I'm being for real. Sting, you the man.
I'm trying, man.
Let's go ahead and tell everybody how we did this. You're like, how did you get Tony Barnhart? Everybody asks me all the time, how do you get this person? How do you get this person? It's just Stingray.
No, it's actually Clacker right up there.
No, it wasn't Clacker. Clacker won. Clacker.
Unmute us, Joey.
You're not muted, you dummy.
Yeah, free us.
I've got a notification. Stingray, since we got Stingray on, Stingray, we need your thoughts on the game and your prediction.
I honestly, after the performance at Jordan-Hare, I'm actually leaning a little bit towards Georgia, just simply because I don't think Alabama is as strong as they are usually on both lines of scrimmage, and I think that's really going to play a huge part on Saturday. You know, everybody talks about Bryce Young, Stetson Bennett, you know, it's and everything like that. I think this game is going to be won in the trenches on both sides of the football, and I just don't think Alabama right now is up to the challenge simply because they did not protect well against A&M. That was a loss. They did not protect well against LSU. That was a really close win, and they did not protect well against Auburn, and Auburn is not really that good of a defensive line team.
Well, there you go, feeding Clark's ego. He already thinks that he knows more about sports than everybody else.
Stingray, do you think Oklahoma State gets the win and maybe sneaks into the playoffs?
I do. I really do. I think now with Lincoln Riley going to USC, I think you're about to see Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy, guns up, become the new dominant team in the Big 12, and especially with those two big dogs coming over here to the SEC.
What about Brian Kelly to the SEC? That was a shocker. I think it's a terrible move. I think it's a terrible hire, but it's going to be interesting to see.
I honestly, to be honest with you, and no disrespect to any Alabama fan out there, but I'll honestly feel like LSU pulled a Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt with that hire.
Agreed.
Because they were really on Lincoln Riley went elsewhere, and they had to do something really quick.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a prediction before we get to the next thing. I'm going to make a bold prediction. It is currently 2021. By this time, 2024, Brian Kelly, 0 championships, and will be fired at LSU.
Okay, well, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think what he did with Notre Dame, you're going to get a lot better athletes going to LSU than you would go to Notre Dame. I think he's going to be a powerhouse in the SEC. That's just my opinion. I hate the way he leaves. I hate when coaches do that. I think you need to go ahead and finish the season. But, of course, I'm not making $20 million either. So, with that said. But, Clark, you're – go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I agree with Joey. We're sitting here acting like Brian Kelly's a horrible coach. He's had a lot of success at Notre Dame. I mean, they haven't been able to get over the hump, but a lot of that is recruiting related. I feel like he's done a great job with, the recruits that have been able to come there. But going from Notre Dame to LSU, he's going to have a lot better recruits joining him there.
I like what Spencer brings up here. He has a very, very good point that Bama needs to throw the ball to our tight ends to slow down to use the slant pattern to slow down Georgia's rushing efforts. I love that idea. It's a very good idea. The issue with that is Bama's tight ends, Cameron Latu and Jaleel Billingsley, have really struggled with drops this season. But if Alabama can execute that, that would be a great game plan for Georgia against Georgia.
I love how Clacker came on and Sting came on and fed your ego because you know more about Alabama football than everybody else.
Dude, all right, look. Y'all been going back and forth by this a lot, okay? Yes. Earlier, I was backstage fixing the Twitter problem, and y'all were going back and forth, and this is getting annoying. So right now, I want to do something. I want to put both of you guys on the spot, and we're about to find out who knows the most about sports and Alabama sports as well. Now, here's what we're going to do. Since Clacker,
Clacker, are you up? You up to the challenge?
I'm up.
Okay.
All
Since Clacker says that he knows a lot about Alabama football, I'm actually going to read the statement and let him answer first. If he gets it wrong, it goes to Joey. Are you okay with that, Joey?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So.
All right. Hands up, too. I don't want to see no phones or Google.
Joe? Okay. He holds the Alabama record for punting average in a single season and in a career. Who is this Alabama punter?
J.K. Scott.
Wrong.
My turn.
Joey?
Redo the question for me.
He holds Alabama's records for punting average in a single season and in a career. Who is this punter?
Is it Greg Gant?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, my.
Oh,
What year was this?
71 to
Oh,
73.
no, I'm going to know the 70s.
Oh, you know more about Alabama football. Well,
Give us
okay.
yeah.
Give us an
All
Alabama
right.
basketball one, Stingray.
No. I don't know college basketball. You said you know more about football. They all had a drop this year. We had to bring the best game. That's right, Spencer. Go ahead. Since go.
1-0. Joe.
All right, Clacker. Go ahead. Do the Clacker again. I'll take the second one.
Okay. He played for the Crimson Tide from 1969 to 1971. He's 10th on the all-time rushing leaderboard at Alabama with
Hands up, boy.
2,741 yards. Clack.
Honestly, again, that's the 60s.
All right. Can you redo the question? I didn't.
Okay.
I got to think about
Clean
this
your
one.
ears out, Joey.
I got to think about it. It's like I got to
He
phone a friend.
holds the Alabama Crimson Tide record for the 10th all-time rushing leaderboard with 2,741 yards.
What year?
69 to 71.
Oh, I'm gonna take a stab at this one. Is it Johnny Musa?
2-0.
Oh, man.
All right, let's do something between the last.
All right. Last question. We'll do one last question because we're running out of time. Thank you. One last question.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Make it hard.
Was the Alabama running back in 2001 when Alabama took on number 1 Oklahoma in Bryant-Denny Stadium?
Would either be Ray Hudson or Kenneth Darby?
Well, which one?
I would say Darby.
It would either be Sean Alexander, Kenneth Darby, or Ray Hudson.
I
You
would
just
say
named
Darby.
3 names. You got to pick one.
I say Darby.
Clack, pick one of those names. You can't just list off 3
I'm
people.
with
Be
Joey,
like,
I think Darby.
Incorrect.
No. Was that correct?
Incorrect.
Okay, I know I know the number was 30. He was number 34. I remember that now.
You mean to tell you?
No. I know he was number 34. For the record, the first year I watched football was 2002.
I forgot. What is it, Sting?
He went to Alabama, then transferred to Pittsburgh under Larry Fitzgerald, the one and only Santonio Bearden.
I knew that.
I knew that. We interviewed him. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I think let me see.
I should have known that one.
goose egg.
All right, last question, Sting.
Oh, there's another one. I thought we were just doing 3.
All right, one more. Name the 2 water boys for the University of Alabama.
Clocker?
I have no idea. I don't keep up with that stuff.
Is it Peter Wilson and Stephen Russo?
That's correct, my
Okay,
friend.
somebody, there's no way you knew that. There is no way you knew that.
I just know more Alabama football than you. Sting, you want to go ahead and tell them what happened?
Yeah. Joey called me before the show and said we're going to play a little prank on Clacker.
I was going to say, there is no way Joey knows any of this.
Yeah.
So
Joey
guys,
doesn't even know who our
quick.
right guard is.
All right, real quick, before I sign off, I want to make one more bold prediction for this weekend.
Go ahead, Steve.
Sunday,
Oh,
the lineup will be this for the 4-team playoff. Georgia,
Alabama number 1.
Cincinnati, and sneaking in over Alabama is the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, as they will play Georgia for the college football playoff.
And they'll get blown out by 30 points.
Hey,
Sting, you need to go play with your Sting.
We need to get playoff predictions.
Sting, I love you. I love you more than anybody. You're like a brother to me, but you need to go play with your cowbells. You got this is rolling with the tide. This ain't. Go ahead and go. I'll catch you later.
Okay.
Say bye. Say bye, Sting.
Thank you, Steve.
Guns up. Guns up, bro. Let's go.
Guns down.
Joe, what's your
All right,
playoff?
all right,
what's your
Sting.
playoff
Catch
four?
you.
See you, man.
Joe, I need your playoff 4.
Damn, I can't believe you. I beat you in your own game, Clacker. Damn. That's some basketball questions.
It's easy too when it's rigged.
I'll give you the 4. Ready?
Wait, come on, man. You think I really know about the punter?
Are you ready for the 4?
Yes, I've been ready.
Go ahead with the 4.
Georgia at number 1, Alabama at number 2, Michigan at 3, and Cincinnati at 4. Here's what's going to happen. Alabama is going to beat Georgia in a close game, and the media is going to be pissed because they're all going to pick Georgia. And so to, let themselves sleep at night, they'll put Georgia at 1 and just say, oh, Georgia lost this game because of fill in the blank. They had a couple turnovers or they had just played an off game. And so they'll put Georgia at 1 and they'll put Alabama at 2. And that's what I think is going to happen. Then obviously Cincinnati will win their conference championship and Michigan will handily beat Iowa. But that's what I think is going to happen.
Clock, we run out of time. Go ahead. Give me the top 4.
I think I'm going to go. First of all, Joe, I think if Alabama does win, Georgia will not be number 1. It'll be Georgia. It'll be Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Oklahoma State, whatever. I'm going to go with Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2. I'm going to go Oklahoma State at 3, Cincinnati at 4.
I'm going. I kind of agree with Joe. I think Alabama's going to win. I think Alabama 1, Georgia number 2, Cincinnati number 3, Michigan number 4, or vice versa. Michigan number 3, Cincinnati number 4. But that's just my opinion. Let's go do final scores, ladies and gentlemen. Final scores: Alabama 125, Georgia 0. I'm just playing. I'm saying 21-17 Alabama. What do you got, Clacker?
27-17 Georgia. Joe.
Just say go Dogs.
On Tuesday, I said that it'd be Bama 34, Georgia 30, but I think I'm going to bump it down a little bit. I'll say Alabama 27, Georgia 23.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the greatest experiences. No, you don't get to say that.
Go Dogs.
This has been the greatest experience. Spencer Riley, real fast.
Spencer,
he
I
says
hope you're
Bama.
right.
He says Bama 31, Georgia 17. No, you want Georgia to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. I get to talk to Tony Barnhart of CBS Sports, Joe Will, the Clocker. We're out. Hey, if for real, if you haven't, you don't get to say that. If you haven't subscribed to the CTS interview room, go ahead and subscribe now. Hit the like button. Thank you for watching.
I think it's on that side.
You all watching us now on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. The Rolling with the Tap Twitter page. You got Joe Will. You got the Clacker. And then also 3rd and 3. Go follow us there too. If you want to watch it, if you're a boxing fan, go watch the main event with one more Sanchez. Ladies and gentlemen, CTS interview room is growing. We got the dream team going on right now. This show right here is definitely the best Alabama show of all Alabama shows. There's no Alabama show like this, and they're all just fake ass bitches. If they have one, this is my opinion. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Rolling with the Tide. Clacker, Joe Will, we're out.
Roll Tide.